She said, "I'm pressing abuise charges unless you pay." My ex-girlfriend Amanda thought she could blackmail me for $15,000 using fake bruises and a rehearsed story. What she didn't know was that I'd been documenting everything for months after catching her in smaller lies. The breakup happened on a Tuesday. We'd been together 8 months, and I'd started noticing inconsistencies in her stories about work, family, and especially money. She'd borrowed $3,200 for emergency car repairs that never seemed to happen. Always had excuses for why she couldn't pay rent, but somehow afforded designer clothes every week. When I finally asked for my money back, she laughed. "Good luck proving I owe you anything." That's when I showed her the screenshots of our text conversations where she'd promised to pay me back, along with photos of the Venmo transfers. Her expression shifted from amusement to calculation. "Fine," she said, "but I want 2 weeks to figure it out." 3 days later, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I was working from home when she started pounding on my door, screaming about how I'd destroyed her life by asking for the money back. When I opened the door, she was holding her phone, recording. "Please don't hit me again," she said loudly, tears streaming down her face. "I'll give you the money. Just please stop hurting me." I stood there stunned as she continued her performance for the camera. Neighbors started opening their doors to investigate the commotion. She had what looked like finger-shaped bruises on her upper arms and a red mark on her cheek. My blood ran cold as I realized what was happening. "Amanda, what are you doing?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "Just give me the $15,000 and I'll disappear forever," she whispered, still recording. "$15,000? You only owe me $3,200. Pain and suffering," she smirked. "Or would you prefer explaining these bruises to the police?" That night, she texted me photos of herself at the emergency room, getting her injuries documented. The next morning, she sent me a police report number and a single message, 48 hours. I called my lawyer immediately. David had handled my lease agreements before, but this was his first domestic situation. "Do you have any evidence of your interactions?" he asked. That's when I mentioned my security system. I'd installed cameras 6 months earlier after a break-in in my building. 4 cameras covered my entire apartment. Living room, kitchen, bedroom, and front door. Everything was stored on a cloud server with timestamps. David's voice changed completely. "You have video of everything?" For the next 6 hours, we reviewed footage from Amanda's visit. The cameras showed her applying makeup to create fake bruises in my bathroom. They captured her slapping herself repeatedly in my hallway mirror. Most damning, they recorded her entire confession about the blackmail plot, including her practicing her victim voice before I answered the door. 2 days later, Amanda called. "Time's up. Pay me, or I'm filing charges this afternoon." "Go ahead," I said simply. She hung up. That afternoon, Detective Morrison contacted me about Amanda's abuse allegations. I told her I had evidence to review and requested a meeting. When I walked into the police station with my lawyer and a USB drive containing 6 hours of footage, Detective Morrison looked skeptical. Security cameras are helpful, but they don't always capture everything. Then we played the video. I watched Detective Morrison's expression change as she saw Amanda applying fake bruises with eyeshadow. Her mouth dropped open during the self-slapping sequence. When Amanda's recorded voice said, "$15,000 and I'll disappear forever," Detective Morrison paused the video. "Is there more?" We showed her Amanda's text messages planning the scheme, her internet searches for domestic violence symptoms, and her practice runs recorded on 3 separate occasions. Detective Morrison made a phone call. 1 week later, Amanda was arrested for filing a false police report, attempted extortion, and fraud. The charges carried a maximum sentence of 4 years. Her lawyer tried negotiating a plea deal, but the evidence was overwhelming. Amanda ultimately served 18 months and paid $8,000 in restitution and court costs. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. She ended up paying more than double what she'd originally owed me. I never got my original $3,200 back, but watching her create a permanent criminal record while trying to destroy my life felt like sufficient compensation. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting someone hang themselves with their own rope, especially when you have 6 hours of video showing them tying the noose.